super secret stuff, and they said, okay, we're going to give you a choice. We can promote you to sergeant major, or we can promote you to captain. Which one do you want? And he worked out a deal that said, if you promote me to captain, then I get to stay. You can't force me out. I get to stay in until I can retire, as an officer at whatever rank I get to. Yeah. So anyway, he shows.
This is, I don't know if this is the Army or if it's just Vietnam. I think it's a little bit of both. That kind of thing just doesn't happen anymore, where they take a guy like that and go, hey, we're going to either promote you to the senior enlisted side or make you a captain. Which one do you want? Yeah. That's epic.
Yeah. And Meadows was an epic guy.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, I came back from a mission, and I was told that we got a new company commander, and he wants to see you as soon as you get cleaned up. So I got in to see him that night. It was probably 2,200. And actually, the quarters it was a Quonset hut with a wall. Mm-hmm. I was on one side of it. He was on the other side. Mm-hmm. So I go over and report to him, and, he told me good job and all this stuff. I've been looking at your record, and he said, effective right now, you're the recon company XO. I said, but I don't want to give up a team. And he said, you can keep a team. I don't care about that. But you're the XO, and you're going to help me. And he said, to start with, tomorrow morning, we're going to have a meeting with all the Americans in Recon Company, one at a time, because I've been going through the records, and I think some of them's beret has gotten a little too heavy for them. Hmm. And we're going to send them back to the train tomorrow. They don't need to be in SOG. They can go play with Special Forces, but they're not going to be in SOG. What do you mean? He said, there are people here who are not going out on missions very often, and going out on missions, and every time they get shot off the LZ, mm-hmm. they never actually complete a mission. So, those people need to go somewhere else, and we need to replace them. Mm-hmm. And Meadows is a hard dude. Mm-hmm. I'm hard. And you can tell when he's talking to you, he is as serious as a heart attack. So he said, here, take this stack of files with you, go through them tonight, tomorrow morning at 0700, they're going to start coming in, the recon orderly room, and I'm going to have a talk. You and I are going to have a talk with them. So you tell me which ones you think need to go home. Mm. So we met in there the next morning, and I'm looking at the list that the stack he's got there that he plans to send back. I said, we're not going to have anybody left. And he said, I don't care. If we have to, you and I will lead all the missions. And my heart's not beating at this point because I'm hearing how serious he is in his voice. Mm-hmm. And he said, we'll do them all. I said, yes, sir. We're going to be kind of busy. But anyway, he wasn't going to send them all home, but he sent a lot of people back to the train that day. Mm-hmm. He just told them, helicopter's leaving this afternoon, be on it. And he started shuttling people back down there. If you had been, dragging your feet, finding ways not to go on missions, you were sick, you were whatever, and you get shot off the LZ. I mean, he looked at, over the period of time you had been there, how many missions had you been on? How many times have you been in contact? How many days have you been on the ground? And all this kind of stuff. And, he had his own little equation, and, these people needed to find something else to do. I mean, he was hard. Mm-hmm. Big-time Ranger, special ops, mindset. And he started looking around right away. There's some things here we got to clean up. We should have an isolation area. Mm-hmm. When a team gets a mission, you go into isolation. That's the way it's done in Special Forces. Mm-hmm. That's the doctrine, and we're not doing it. Why would we not do that here? A lot of things like that. Training. In fact, he told me, the next morning, he said, you meet me down on the beach tomorrow morning. The beach was just right outside the concertina. Mm-hmm. So I met him down there, and he said, we're going to go for a little run. And, he's considerably older than me at that point. So we take off down the beach at about a 7-minute pace. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, I haven't been running. I mean, I'm starting to, suck a little wind here, and this joker's not slowing down. So when we get about the 2-mile point, I told him, I said, sir, I'm gonna go ahead and turn around here and go back and take care of some things. You do that, Lieutenant. I'm gonna keep running. And he kept going, and I'd look back every once in a while till he disappeared out of sight down the beach, and he's by himself, and he's unarmed. And, later on, he came back. I mean, physical fitness was a big thing for him. You keep your body sharp, you'll keep your mind sharp. And, we started having PT in the mornings for the teams that were not out in the field, things like that. So he made a lot of changes.
How did that affect the attitude around the camp?
Well, after his house cleaning at the beginning, everybody else was, yes, sir, whatever you want. I mean, we need to do this stuff, and we need to do it right. Mm-hmm. And, he was out there. I mean, and everybody knew. I mean, he's the guy that would say, you've been out twice to get a prisoner. I'm going with you this time and show you how to get one. And he'd go out and get one and bring it back. I mean, whatever the mission was, he could do it. And then say, no, I want the rest of you to do it that way. And, oh, cow.
Roger that.
Whatever you say. So he said, you can keep a team, but here's how we're going to start. We've got a group coming over. The first group in Okinawa, we're sending people over temporary duty. They'd send 4 teams of Americans over. And he said, I want you to train them. So when they get here, you get with them and their teams, and you put them through some training on how to run these operations and what to do. And then I want you to go out with them, with each team. You take them out. You walk right alongside, the 1-0.
I guess we call that skin in the game.
Yeah.
You're going to trade them, and then you're going to go with them.
Yeah. And, when you get a team that you think is ready to go, you tell me, we'll sign a mission to them, and you take the next team out.
Are these the snake bite teams? Is that what these are called?
Yeah,
got it.
Bites. So, I was going out on a regular basis with these guys, particularly once I got them trained. And, we were going into the Marine Force Recon's area of operations. They would put their teams out there, and within 2 or 3 days, they'd get run out. We were going out, and the objective was to stay 7 days. And excuse me, we'd eventually make contact. Sometimes we'd make contact before that, but it was a live fire, shoot back target kind of certification. So, can you lead a team out against real bad guys and get shot at and do it right? And then I give them the check mark. Then they get a SOG mission. And
so those are the Elephant Valley operations?
Yeah.
Is that what those are? So you had an AO that was a little bit calmer. It was a little bit closer. You still had some real bad guys. This is just like the ultimate in training operations because it's actually real.
Yeah, because the targets shoot back. I mean, and we had several of them wounded, from going out on those missions. But, they always did a great job. I mean, when they were there, they did a great job. So he kept me busy with that. But so I was technically still going out with teams. I wasn't happy, but I said, I want real SOG missions. Mm-hmm. I don't want to,
And those did those even count as your SOG missions?
No, those are just day-to-day stuff. You go do it. And, try not to get killed while you're doing it, but, you just go do that. And, ironically enough, that was very similar to what it was like, when I came home and went to the Ranger Department and became a Ranger instructor. That's what I did. I was walking along, with a team of Ranger students, grading and evaluating the patrol leaders. So, except the targets didn't shoot back.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
And then when did you take over RT Virginia? Was that your next 1-0?
Yeah. We finished with the snake bites, and he said, "Okay, I got one more mission for you before you get your real team back again." And he said, "We've got a team that we want to convert over to a Vietnamese-led team. So it's going to be a team that's going to operate with no Americans on it. Mm-hmm. We've got a Vietnamese Army captain that's coming in here, so he'll be the team leader. And we've got RT Virginia, who has nobody right now. So I want you to train them with him, and then you can take him out on a mission and make sure he does okay. And if he does okay, then he will take over the team, and they'll start getting SOG missions." Mm-hmm. So as soon as I got with the team, they were saying, no, we don't want a Vietnamese captain. And I don't know, there was just something about them. We bonded very quickly, and then they started saying, "We want you." I said, "It can't be me. It's got to be this guy." So we're going to go train, and they were good, and I liked them. We got along well, but they did not like the captain. So in the end, Meadows said, "Okay, you take the team. You spend all this time with them. You take them and go with them."
And then what were those missions? Then you started doing SOG missions with them? SOG missions,
yeah, because they were good.
And how many times did you go out with RT Virginia?
A bunch. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and count them now, but yeah. I mean, that was the last team, that I was 1-0 on.
And so these missions are the same. You're going deep in enemy territory, across the fence, as Tilt says, inserting and trying to do recon, trying to find intelligence, trying to plant sensors, and trying to avoid hundreds, if not thousands, of NVA. And
sometimes you went out looking for a large unit. I mean, that was the mission. You go find them, and once you find them, now you've got them located. Yep. You bring the world. I mean, you introduce them to what we call later shock and awe. I mean, you bring all this stuff on because they can't get away once you know where they are.
So some of those were just straight up patrol to contact. You're going to go in there and you're going to patrol until you find some enemy, and then you're going to call the thunder.
You go do that. And I think I had an in-country mission with Virginia, but I think the first out-of-country was what we sometimes call a suicide mission. We put in 2 teams. Mm-hmm. Once we got on the ground, we'd separate.
For you to be calling it a suicide mission is a real statement about things.
so we would separate.
This should be called the guaranteed death mission, but okay, we'll go with it. Suicide mission.
And one team would be the real team that was going to stay out there. Mm-hmm. The suicide team would be the one that was going to go make contact as soon as possible. Go find them, pounce on them. Do as much damage as you could, bring in the world, get extracted, and go away. But the other team's still out there, and nobody knows that they're out there now. They think, that was who got extracted. Mm-hmm. So, it was go get them. So we went out, and, sure enough, it didn't take us long to find, a platoon or so of people. And so we were online and we opened fire on them. I mean, we would normally just start out like that, but I could see them, and I started shooting at them. And they started shooting back, and it was funny that what happened. We were online, and as soon as all the bullets started coming back, it was swoom. They were all right here with me, and I'm, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Spread out. Mm-hmm. You can't be here with me. I mean, 1B40 take us all out." Mm-hmm. And I said, so I had to smoke them a little bit until spread back out.
Yeah. Dispersion is what we call that. And we'd also say don't bunch up.
Yeah.
And I would think about the psychology of what makes people bunch up like that. And part of it, I think, is just fear. And like, you want to be next to someone else. You want to have